Hey everybody, this is SirJesto. Welcome to the podcast. ENAI SIAION joined me on my Discord fan club server for a chat, and we talked about all sorts of things that you're going to find interesting. ENAI is one of the most popular mod authors for Skyrim. He's made many of the more popular gameplay mods out there. If you'd like to join my fan club, show notes will provide you the link. Let's get to the interview, already in progress. You started updating your ENAI mods again?
They needed updating.
Yeah, I think you're always going to say that though, aren't you?
I know. It's like building a custom car. It's never finished.
Yeah, good point. I did want to talk to you about your latest new mod that you had out.
Spider Bros?
Yeah.
Best mod.
I think...
no one noticed that.
No, I noticed
I
it.
see it. I see it.
I think it's great. And I think that falls more in line with what you were talking about, that you were more interested in making mods for the pure fun of it now.
Yes, instead of making a big overhaul. I'm getting more interested into the kind of mods that aren't strictly Vanilla Plus, that add stuff to Vanilla, but without changing what's already there. Stuff like survival mode from Creation Club.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see your museum overhaul.
Right? So what have you thought about getting all the CC in the Anniversary Edition? Is there anything in there that you want to mess around with?
One thing I noticed is that everyone seemed to say that the Necromancy CC DLC, that it basically copied Apocalypse. I mean, if I squint, I can see why, but people have literally reported this to Bethesda as being a copy-paste or piracy.
Yeah.
How do you pirate something with open permissions?
You don't, but you do credit the creator.
That's always a good idea.
It is.
Yeah, not everyone does that, but it's fine.
Basically, since the beginning, you've pretty much offered all your assets for free, haven't you?
Yeah, the idea of a a cathedral model only emerged a few years ago, but I've been doing that from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my old Diablo 2 mod is still being updated by the community. When I decided I was done with it, I just gave it over to a few people who were interested in working with it. So it's their mod now, basically.
Wow, okay. So is that where you started modding Diablo 2?
Actually, very long ago. The first custom content I made was for a DOS game called 4D Sports Driving, or Stunts, which I guess ages me a lot.
We're both old too, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, but are you Stunts old?
I'm Baldur's Gate old.
Oh, I'm Gold Box old, 1985.
Okay, Zoomers.
I think it's funny because when I talk to people who mod, it sounds like, maybe this is just a small sample size, but they all start really young and hot from game to game, and it just seems like a certain personality or something gravitates towards being a modder.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a creative mindset, but at the same time also a logical computer programming mindset. You need the two if you want to get somewhere. There are many people who are very creative, but then don't really manage to implement their work well. And then you have people who are good at implementing it, but don't have any groundbreaking ideas. There's a lot of them. I think to be successful, you need both. And that is also the mindset of people I see who started with modding very early in their life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds very accurate.
I mean, I just can't live without modding games. It just feels wrong. Like, when I play Assassin's Creed, it feels wrong. Like, I can't change anything. Like...
Yeah, I agree with that. I tried playing Assassin's Creed, I tried playing a few other games, but I'm like, why am I playing this? It's not like I'm testing anything.
Yes, right? Where's the creation kit? That's the real game, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I actually don't really play games anymore and haven't for a long time. I just play in social settings now, playing with friends or playing with community members. The last game I actually played for the sake of playing it was League of Legends, and yeah.
Was that fun?
Well, it was the end of me playing games for the sake of playing games. So,
I guess that says enough.
so the last game I played of League of Legends, I was jungler, and the opposing jungler was a Smurf, and he completely curb stomped me, and he managed to get everyone in the game to report me for intentional feeding, and then I got a 10-game chat ban.
I don't even know what half those words mean.
I do, because my cousin played it, but I barely do. But that was the end of your gaming, eh?
Yep.
I even still play Skyrim.
Oh God, I gave that damn game up a long time ago.
We'll play Skyrim anymore.
Hey, let's talk about your mods, though. What inspired you to start making what eventually became a suite of gameplay-changing mods for Skyrim?
Well, it took many years before it became a suite. I started making mods seriously with Diablo 2. I started in 2003, got big 2007. By 2012, I decided Diablo 2 didn't really have that much options for modding. There was some trivial stuff you couldn't do. And Skyrim had just come out, and it looked like it would be easier to mod and offer more possibilities. So the first thing I made was a really bad spell pack called Apocalypse.
Nobody uses that.
Back then it was really bad. It had damage spells in every school. It had really gimmicky effects, very flashy. It was basically the Arcanum of 2012.
I was just gonna say it sounds like a.
Yeah, right now I think the current version shares about 2 or 3 spells with the original. It got overhauled a few times, but it came at a time when there were no real good spell packs. So it took off, of course. I made a few other mods then. I didn't really have a vision at the time. I was just making random mods. And then, of course, the big one, Ordinator, in 2015. That also came at the right time. People at the time were using something called Skyry, which was a big total game overhaul by Tendo. It was very good, but it had the problem of needing a patcher, which was an external tool, which every time you changed your load order, you needed to run. And it would spend about an hour going through your load order, building a patch, and then it would crash. That was people's experience overhauling the game at the time, so I saw an opportunity, jumped in. It went to the moon like Dogecoin, and that was about the time when I realized, hey, I have mods for many systems. Maybe I could make an ENAI REM out of it.
Right.
And the rest is history, right?
Not really. It was 2017 at that point.
Yeah.
And the idea.
And now you essentially have 2 ENAI REMs.
Yep. The idea of making a coherent overhaul suite is actually only the second one. All my big mods like Coordinator and Thunderchild people are familiar with, those were spread out over a period of many years, so they were designed very differently. I didn't have the idea that they should be combined until people had that idea, and everyone started to use the term ENAI REM. And I cringed, because that seemed so arrogant. Why would I call this game made by so many people ENAI REM now? Like I was better than all of them. So eventually,
because you are.
Thank you.
I mean, you're not saying that. Other people are saying that. I'll say it because you are. Like, or you can pry Ordinator out of my cold dead hands. Okay.
I won't try that. I'm not a murderer. That
makes one of us.
But eventually I started using the term because everyone else was using it, and literally the first time I used the term ENAI REM, I was told that it was arrogant. Someone said like, whoa, like this guy is naming Skyrim after himself.
Who is this asshole?
I don't know, that was years ago. But the very first time I used the term, and now everyone does. And now it's perfectly okay. And now there's also a Simon REM, and there's several other
No, that's called Vanilla Minus because it's less fun than the vanilla game.
I am not going to give my opinion about that.
Damn it.
That's fair. I have enough opinions for like 3 people.
Right? That's why I have
The
her
thing
on.
about overhauls is that you can only use one of them at a time. So inevitably, every download I get is one less download for Simonrim and vice versa. So
Well, that's categorically untrue. And see Vocrinator.
yes, for Creator, yes.
Well, should we ask your opinion on that?
I think it is great that people have fun with existing mods. That people can take something the community makes and iterate on it within the community. There has always been this idea that mod creators are like on a tier above mod users. I won't say which Nexus forum encourages this mindset, but in the end, there's a creator within all of us. So take something someone else made with open permissions, make it better. You can distribute it if you want, don't if you don't, but make something. Don't be afraid, don't be intimidated, make something.
And don't just whine that you want something.
Just what?
Don't just whine that you want something. Learn how to do it. It's not that hard.
I mean, I started out like that as well. I had tons of questions at the start. I posted tons of questions on the Nexus forums. No one ever responded. So I had to do my own homework and learn my own stuff and eventually learn how to fish.
You've bent over backwards really for the users that have requested things over the years from your mods.
Yeah, I think I bent over backwards so hard that I snapped eventually.
Right. Yeah. There was an incident where you snapped.
Yep. Or rather, people finally noticed I had snapped. Yeah, I said some extremist things on Reddit. I do want to apologize to the people who were affected, including those who blocked me afterwards, but might listen to this podcast. So, hey guys, I'm sorry. Thing is, that was just a symptom. If Reddit had a different outlook or political slant, my posts would also have been different. It was just anger, like the same anger from people told me afterwards that they asked me for help or they gave feedback and I snapped at them. It was the same thing. I think I just took too much on my plate and it became an obsession. And then eventually it became necessary. At one point I became dependent on Patreon donations financially. So it was just this massive rat race that had taken over my life. And yeah,
I think what some users fail to understand is that, like, it doesn't matter how polite or nice they think they are, but that there's one of you and, like, thousands of them. So getting the same question or similar questions from 100 people is just exhausting.
Yeah, that's about how it started. The endless comments on Ordinator, which individually were very well intentioned, but it added up to just constant needs to change stuff, constant need to fix stuff. Just running as fast as I could, just to end up in the same spot as the day before. There are certain mod authors who have quit because of certain very aggressive users. I never really got the entitled kind or the harassing kind. What I did get was a lot of, first of all, questions that were answered in the documentation, so they didn't even read the mod page. When this happens 10 times a day, it gets really old. And then also people who really got invested into the mod and wanted to be part of it by giving feedback. At the time, I was very much engaged with the community, constantly taking feedback and listening. The thing is, that means people are going to give you feedback, and when it's such a popular mod with millions of downloads, it's going to be a deluge of feedback. Mm-hmm. And when all of it seems relevant, it means you constantly get a support burden dumped on your head.
Right.
I mean, so we have a bit of experience with this with Legacy, right? Yeah. But the thing is that there's a whole Legacy team. So if I'm feeling burned out, I just don't answer people. Or I get mean and then I get yelled at later.
That makes 2 of us.
Yes, you have other people who can take the heat off you. And something like Requiem is apparently made by 2 people. and also has its own community which gives feedback to each other.
Yeah, but you're by yourself handling all of this.
Yeah, I think if I had set up something like a forum much earlier on where people could help each other, then that could have gone very differently. By the time I realized that was a problem, I was already well past burnout. And at the same time, financially dependent on my Patreon, so I couldn't say stop.
Yeah.
Your Discord, have you found that that's been helpful for you?
That's been very helpful, yes. I now have a sticky on all of my mods directing people to the Discord or the subreddit. So now I can actually take a bit of a break and not have to worry about people going like, say, hey, is this mod abandoned? You haven't posted here in over a month. Well, I guess it's dead then. I'll use something else.
Right. Yeah, this can be kind of a cautionary tale, I think, for people that are have gotten into modding or want to get into modding and mod authoring and you know, they're going to end up maybe dealing with this kind of thing. What can happen to you if you don't, you know, step back, take a breath?
Yeah. I think the precautionary tale is twofold. Firstly, like, don't listen too much to the community. Spread out the work. Don't feel personally responsible for every single problem every single user has. That's the problem of actually, despite what some people say, being a nice guy at heart. And the other thing is also, modding starts out as something you do in between, something small just to have fun, but it creeps up on you. It becomes bigger and bigger over time. Like by the end, I had 2 full overhauls to maintain, plus a lot of other stuff. It's grown organically into something unmanageable. And I think when you get into mods, at some point when it's starting to take most of your time, you have to ask yourself, where do I want to go with this? Do I want to make a career out of this? If so, then I need to make a portfolio. And I need to have a plan and start applying to game development studios and such. Or if it's just meant to be a hobby, then limit it to just being a hobby, like what Eleonora did before she got hired by Bethesda, deleting her old mods to reduce the support burden. What you should certainly not do is use it as a substitute for the rest of your unfulfilling life, because then you will get stuck in that life, and at the same time you will saddle yourself with a local maximum in the form of hopefully popular mods.
That's really awesome stuff.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit dark for
no,
this podcast, but
no, absolutely not. It's the truth, and that's what we want, right?
I think it's good for users to hear this sort of thing,
Yeah.
because like a lot of times I see users being like, oh, mod authors are so mean, you know, they don't even want to talk to me, but like they don't get it. Even if they think they get it, they don't. Even a smaller mod is, it's a lot.
Yep. When it's just one user, they're going to fight you over it. When it's 2 users agreeing, then you're under the gun all of a sudden.
Now, I need to talk to you about this little nugget that I did find on the on your spider mod at the bottom of the description page, and I'll just read it off for our listeners. I wish everyone a better 2022 than 2021 has been, and may all your dreams come true. Some genies will not go back into the bottle, but the future is a blank paper. So let's strive to be better. Into the star field. I think I know where that's coming from, and I think that's a great message.
Yeah, when you're stuck on the wrong tracks, it's best to just back off, look at your map, see where you want to go, and go there. Set course to the start.
It's best to, of course, but it's really difficult to do, and most people don't have the mental fortitude to actually do it. So, like, kudos to you for that, because most people will just double down and insist they're on the correct path when it's obvious to everyone, and even maybe themselves, that that's not the case.
Thing is also, people who spend thousands of hours developing Skyrim mods, they get really invested into them, and often they use it as a replacement for something else. So there are many authors of popular or very popular mods who may seem like hostile or very protective, or I've heard the term Little Kingdom somewhere. I think that's coming from there, and I think users who don't make mods, we just download whatever, have some fun playing with Thomas the Tank Engine, and then move on. I think both sides don't really understand each other then.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was your daily dose of darkness. Now let's be curious until the next COVID variant and until Russia nukes us.
Oh,
You had a question.
do you mind taking a couple of questions from our live
Absolutely.
Kriana?
Well, somebody asked, would you consider applying to Bethesda, or would you prefer to maintain a sort of professional distance from them?
I actually applied to the Creation Club back in 2017, and I received my very own personalized rejection letter, letting me know that they were more interested in content creators because they could teach them how to script, whereas people who develop gameplay, who create game systems, have a harder time learning asset creation.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, so they're not really hiring mechanics people.
Right.
I mean, surely you could never tell if you looked at Skyrim, but they don't really focus on that.
What? Wait. It seems like every show I have a revelation. First Alduin dies, and now Bethesda doesn't care about mechanics. I don't even know this game anymore.
My goodness. Spoilers everywhere.
I know.
Well, they are good at something else. A game like League of Legends or Overwatch, those games are largely about mechanics. But Bethesda is more focused on world building, on immersing you in a believable world, on telling a story. And they just use mechanics as a vehicle to tell a story. I think they would actually not want to put too much effort into creating gameplay, into creating game systems that are themselves engaging, because those could pull the attention away from what they are actually doing.
Yeah, I get what you're trying to say, because what pulled me into the Elder Scrolls for the first time was Oblivion, and I kind of fell into the story. The gameplay for me was totally secondary, and that's really, I mean, I come from the role-playing game background. Playing Dungeons and Dragons. The mechanics are rolling dice, man. I mean, and your imagination and the story is the game. Did you ever mod any other Elder Scrolls games, or has it just been?
No, those were before my time. Back then I was modding Diablo.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good game.
Diablo was a great game back in the day. It hasn't aged very well. I am actually currently working on a mod for Diablo 2 Resurrected. It's pretty low on my priority list. And the Diablo 2 Resurrected community has a very weird outlook towards mods. It's like you're stealing valor from the developers by making a mod.
What?
Yeah, I have been downvoted a lot, accused of advertising, of making a Chinese knockoff.
How would you even do that?
I just made an announcement post on the official Battle.net forums saying, hey, here's a mod I'm just starting work on, follow me here. And apparently I got reported so many times for advertising that one of their moderators contacted me and said, hey, you were almost banned, cut it out.
Wow.
If you want to share, do you have anything on the table for Skyrim right now?
My priority right now is the indie game we are working on. Within a few months, we will have a demo for investors ready. So we are currently working towards this deadline. Wayward Realms, by the way, go check it out. It's very good.
There'll be a link in the show notes, right, Jesto?
Absolutely. We're gonna have a link.
I'll got you a link after this.
Yeah, perfect. Could you tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah.
A old-style role-playing game along the lines of Elder Scrolls Arena and Daggerfall. A very large world, very open, kind of life simulator. And of course, the part that is relevant for me is It's going to have a spell creator, enchantment creator, potion creator, everything creator.
Nice.
Everything works together into one big magic system that I'm currently working. The team has been founded by several ex-developers from Daggerfall and Arena, and we got started during the pandemic, which is of course not the easiest thing to do, but we are a group of about 20 very passionate people working in our free time until we will have an investors demo in a couple of months, which we will use to hopefully get funded.
Hey, that's great. And so how long has you been working on this part-time?
Yes, part-time outside of my day job since 2020, more or less.
Wow, and you're getting
But of
close.
course, pandemic and the chaos that brought with it, so we really got started in 2021.
So you're getting close then.
Closer.
Closer.
Development will still take a few years, but the investors demo will be a big milestone, showing that we as a team are capable of creating something.
Absolutely. Well, if it took you another 4 or 5 years, then you'd almost be on the level of where we're at with Odyssey of the Dragon. But we're getting closer to.
I mean, of course, you want to release the final version before Elder Scrolls 6. So yes. I assume you have about 20, 30 more years or so.
Yeah. We got plenty of time.
Time to polish it off.
But first, Starfield.
Right. So you're looking forward to that? Is that going to be a game you're going to dive headfirst in and mod, do you think?
Yes. For the most part, I'm going to take some time off this year, make a few small things when I feel like it, but mostly take time off. But for Starfield, I hope to dive back into it, take all of the lessons I've learned from the past 11 years by now, in terms of mod creation, game design, good software practices, and also relationship towards the community, which is very important. And hopefully make an ENAI rim for that as well.
Can't wait for that.
I'm excited.
Anything that you do interests me. I'm looking forward to.
Almost anything.
Anything that you release mod-wise, I am.
Yeah, I would at least look at it.
100% behind.
I have to say, all right, I'm going to just fangirl a little bit for right now. I've been really enjoying the spell packs that you've been putting out. Triumvirate and the Dwemer one. Something I really enjoy in Skyrim is creating builds around a certain type of character or a gimmick or something like that, and just like synergizing it to hell and making it just fun. I don't care if it's overpowered or underpowered, whatever. Just as long as it's fun.
This girl loves theory crafting, and I
do. And those spell packs are so much fun. So much fun.
Oh, I looked at Tonal Architect, and I'm like, I have to make a Dwemer spellcaster. I mean, I have to now.
Yeah, that was the idea. There are plenty of spell packs that overhaul the vanilla spells or that add more spells that act sort of like the vanilla spells, but that doesn't really create any new builds, I've come to realize. When you look at Apocalypse, for instance, there are some character archetypes hidden in there, but you have to piece them together yourself. So what many people see is just an amorphous blob of spells. With Triumvirate, I wanted to create something that would work together in terms of gameplay, and also that would be clear to players that it would work together, that was what they were supposed to do, instead of having to figure it all out themselves among a pool of 200 spells.
They're a lot more clearly defined.
Yeah. And yes, the balance, the thing is, when you deviate far enough from the vanilla game, it's inevitably going to be imbalanced one way or another. Giving the player more options is always a power boost. Giving players options that are very different from vanilla gives them more flexibility, which is also a power boost. So almost no matter what you do, when you add new content, you'll buff the player. Right. Really, the only way to make a balanced mod is to remove as much as you add, which, as Kriana called, vanilla minus.
Exactly. Making the game less fun by, quote, balancing it.
I mean, you shouldn't be one-hit killing enemies either, but it's just an inevitable fact that when you add content to the game, you become stronger. And then, of course, you can counter this by increasing the difficulty or by adding specific difficulty mods. I think as long as you stay within that framework, then it's good enough. You don't have to literally have the exact same balance as vanilla, as long as the player can still have a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
If they even want a challenge, though. That's one particular style of play, but, Skyrim's a power fantasy.
Yeah, the Wretch to Riches ID.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, I've just sort of accepted that when I hit level 60, if I've maxed out enchanting, I'm a demigod. There's just no way around that. But, well, I mean, there is a way around that. I just don't care enough.
I've only played till about level 30-something, and that's it. It lasts about 6 years, so...
That's most people playing with mods.
Start again, start again, start again.
Yeah, they built their ultimate load order. And then they go to the Nexus, and that was a mistake, because there they find a small mod they would add in place of another mod, but don't know, it's not compatible with something else. And they just tear it down and start over.
Oh,
In
I've
the
got to
end,
make
it's
all...
also fun. Building a Lego set is more fun than playing with one, and that's what people are doing.
Exactly.
Essentially, yeah.
They're kind of building their own game out of building blocks. And then when they have their perfect game, they're happy. And they don't really need to play it anymore at that point. I love that. People like that would make good mod creators as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
They might
I
not
agree.
have the time for it, but they have the mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're all listening out there, everybody, and you think that you need to play the game, you don't. Modding is the game.
I've spent over 2 years on my load order, and I'm still always, of course, refining it based on what comes out, what's better, things I decide I don't want anymore, and I still play.
That makes you a mod list creator.
Oh, I hate mod lists. Mod lists are for the lazy, stupid, or both.
They are also for people who don't have time in their life.
That's just an excuse.
I would warn people against putting more time into games than they actually have.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it is true that if building the perfect game, customizing the game is something that appeals to you, then yes, you should absolutely avoid mod lists and you should do your own thing. If you actually want to play Skyrim, but you wish Skyrim was just a little better balanced and had a bit more stuff and looked a bit better, but other than that you just want to play Skyrim, then I think that's the audience for mod lists.
The problem is the people in the middle who decide they're going to use a mod list, but then they don't exactly like it. So they're going to change one or two things, but they don't want to take the time to actually learn how to do that.
It's 2022, you can't be in the middle. You have to either be for or against.
That's true.
On one side, yes, I can see how it's not the mod creator's job to entirely work for the users to become subservient to the users. In the end, for most people, it's a hobby. If they don't feel like doing tech support, then they won't. If they don't feel like making a patch, then they won't. But of course, I do think there's a large number of users who just want to improve the game. I think Vortex or Collections is like the Toyota Corolla of the community, or the Toyota Prius. The people who are in car culture, they are always going to look down on Prius drivers, but in the end, far more people have a Prius than some expensive BMW, and it's going to meet their needs completely, and they're going to be happy with it. Also, throughout my modding career, I think the reason I broke through was in 2007, if I recall correctly. My Diablo 2 mod was just one among many. Most people actually played other mods. And then, all of a sudden, 7 years after release, Blizzard dropped an update. This was back when Blizzard cared about the community, and they would do something like drop a major update 7 years after release. But everyone else at the time was using code edits. So the equivalent of SKSE back in the day. And they all had to change their installation instructions to say, if you want to use this mod, well, uninstall the game, find your CD-ROMs, reinstall the game, then download specifically this older patch, and then you can use this mod. But if you ever want to go back on Battle.net, you need to do it all over again. So all of a sudden, my mod had a huge convenience user experience advantage.
Right.
And that was basically how it went from being a thing, among other things, to the thing.
If you've enjoyed this episode of the SirJesto podcast, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It really means a lot to us. Now, back to the interview.
Yeah, it's easy for everyone to forget that the person on the other side of the internet is also a person. I think what I'm going to do for Starfield is use a bug tracker, so people can actually file bugs, like actual testers. That creates a bit of a hurdle where they actually have to specify what they were doing. So the people who just want to dump their problems on your head are not going to bother, but the people who actually have a problem will give you much better feedback.
That sounds like a beautiful dream, by the way.
Yeah. I'm the filter. Like, I keep an eye on all the support channels and we all make tickets, but like users don't have the power to actually put a ticket in. When an issue gets reported, we look into it and we say, okay, we're not going to chase our tails on this. If you can make a really complete, good report, okay, that's awesome. But if you're just being like, your mod broken, can't find XYZ, we're going to be like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, the idea of having dedicated testers is something that was brought up on the ENAI RIP Discord the other day. I like it. If people trust me, then let's do it that way.
Trust you? You have to trust them.
It works both ways.
So you have to set out very strict parameters. Otherwise, they're going to go through the console and TCL their way through doors and break a quest. Well, not so much with your mods, but you understand what I mean.
Yeah. Was it Hunterborn or was it some other mod that if you added its items to your character using add item menu, or what was it called? Add item menu, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The mod that allows, and you added an item from, I believe, Hunterborn to your mod, it would spawn an enemy that would instantly kill you. And Reddit was like, why are they trying to stop people from cheating? And people were giving bug reports about this, complaining about compatibility issues. And it was actually just an unintended interaction between the two mods. It was completely innocent. But people were angry first and then maybe decided not to cheat the next time.
Geez, in my dreams, though, somebody actually...
Jesto, can we do that?
Oh, I've already told you about stealth putting in the thing that turns the console off.
Oh my god, I want to do that so badly.
I've had that sitting there on my desktop waiting to throw into an update for a long time, and I just haven't been...
Man.
Oh.
Well, I want to thank you at least for the work that you've put into Skyrim, because I know personally it's made my Skyrim a lot better.
I'm
Absolutely.
happy to hear that. In the end, despite all the good things, despite all the bad things, making people happy is why I started doing this in the first place.
You've done that for sure.
And I'm happy you're happy.
No, we're very happy. I'm really happy that you joined me today on the SirJesto podcast. That was ENAI SIAION joining my fans and I on my Discord server. If you want to catch a live stream with a guest, a link to my Discord fan club is listed in the show notes below. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on the SirJesto podcast.